This is the Red Dragon preheater. We typically use it if our electric engine heaters aren't working or power to the ramp is out. This is a great way to preheat the engine, and also show you later it's a great way to defrost and de-ice your wings and your tail. So to get started, first thing you do is when you get here, do your most of your pre-flight, load any cargo you're taking, because you want to be able to get going as soon as you get the engine hot. Also, because we have an open flame, take any of your fuel samples and discard them before lighting off the Red Dragon. So after that, you get it from the shed, and for the pipers, you insert it into the cowling opening here, leave the cowl plug on the other side. And as much as possible, you want it pointed at the cylinders, not at the top of the fiberglass cowl, or the underside of the fiberglass cowl. On the Mooney, you would open up the cowl flaps and insert it into one of them from underneath. Okay, so the first thing is we want to make sure that the battery is charged and the fan is running, and the blower will run. So the switch for the blower is down here below and behind the pressure gauge, and you turn it on. It's running. In the box is a battery and a battery charger. So if it doesn't run, you can't run the Red Dragon, because you're just going to overheat it and catch fire and other stuff. But if you still have a power out at the ramp, you can plug it in, and this will both charge the battery and run the blower at the same time. But typically, like I say, we may be using this because we don't have power at the ramp, so hopefully the thing is charged. All right, so after you get the blower going, you come over here and just open the tank. Turn it full counterclockwise. And now we're ready for ignition. The red button here is what releases the gas, and the black button here is an igniter, just like a grill igniter. So you hold this down and give it a couple seconds, and then hit the igniter. Hopefully you'll hear that sound. So, and you need to hold this in probably about 20 seconds, and then it'll be self-sustaining once the thermocouple in there warms up. That's it. If it doesn't maintain, then you got to hold it a little bit longer. Before we get too far, I'm going to shut it down again, and I'll go through the shutdown procedure in a minute. So let's say you press igniter, and it just doesn't light. Things are a lot better now after we did some overhaul work on it, but it's possible. Things you can do then are leave the blower off and do the ignition. But if you do, you got to be very quick with your hands, because you still got to hold the button in, and you got to get that the blower on quickly. Failing that, we have an igniter here, and again, sorry, I don't want to be in the way. There's a hole here where you can, again, you got to be very quick with your hands. You would start the gas, click off the lighter, get ignition, and then reach down and turn the blower back on. Neither of this thing will blow out, and it won't work if the blower's running at the same time. So that's why you got to get it going quickly. But hopefully it's just going to light off with the igniter. Nope. Fan, light off. We'll give it, it was warm now, so it'd probably be only 10 seconds. If you hear it start to falter, press the button back in and then hold it longer. If you're lucky, you'll catch it, and it'll keep burning. If not, you'll have to reignite it. All right, so after this, you just let it run, and again, try to point it at the cylinders and the pipers. And you cannot leave this unattended. You can run around and finish your pre-flight and that sort of stuff. But every now and then, come up here, make sure that it's the top is not getting too hot. You should be able to hold your hand here for 5 seconds easy. And And if you can't, you need to reposition it so we don't ruin the cowling or the paint. And then in order to turn it off, you turn it off at the gas source, full clockwise. It'll run a little while longer as it burns up the excess gas. Flame is out, but let it run longer now to cool down. The blower will cool it down in here. This is typically the hottest area where the flame's coming right up. That's why they're steel. And you should be able to comfortably touch any of these areas before shutting off the gas. Last thing you do, blower switch off. Although before you shut down, you run it maybe 10 minutes, 10 minutes on one side, depending on how the outside temperature. And then you put that cowl plug in, take the other one out, and put it in the other side, and run it another 10 minutes. The other thing you can do with the Red Dragon is use it, as I mentioned, to de-ice your wings. And typically what I do is I'll take it all the way around the plane and get the ice and frost off before you do the engine, because the engine you want to be the last thing. So typically what I'll do is pretty much just take it, drag it around, wear gloves, this gets hot, and just run it over the surface and have a rag. When the ice and frost loosens enough, take the rag and push it off. You don't want to have to melt every pit. It's a lot more efficient if you just get it to go on the ground. Watch that any ice that melts doesn't refreeze. That's another good reason to have a towel to get the liquid water off. Try to push all the liquid water off, push all the ice off, do all the wings, the tail. Those are typically the horizontal surfaces like that is typically what accumulates ice. Other than that, this thing does depend on airflow. It won't light well and it won't stay lit if you have it like pointed at the ground, because there's too much back pressure from the air. So have it up in the air, have it in the cowling, and you should be okay. So when you're done, as I said, turn off the gas, let it cool down, turn off the blower, put it away. It's pretty simple, and it's a pleasure when it works right. Preheat, when it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit or below. One other thing to note, I have the regulator here preset, this red regulator. Do not turn the knob. Do not turn the knob. It's set for a good flame. We don't want to get it too hot where it gets hot up in here, and even worse, starts igniting the hose. This is just a Home Depot dryer hose. By the way, the instructions for the Red Dragon are on the JAC Wiki under aircraft.